Okay. I am so nervous for this. Hello, I am Andrew, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I don't know how many times I'm going to film this intro to say hi to you all, so I'm just going to get right in it. I'm Andrew, I like books, I wanted to make a YouTube channel, so I did, and here we are. And this is my first video. I know, full of nerves, and I'm probably going to ramble a lot, but who cares, you know? This is what we do when inspiration strikes, I guess. I started this channel because, well, I wanted to be honest. I've been speaking about books for about a year on Instagram now, and I just wanted to be, you know, a part of the book community even further, follow quite a lot of booktubers and watch quite a lot of booktube, and I just wanted to get involved, to be honest. I'm a Leo, so I hate missing out. I get FOMO really badly, and I love attention, so hence why Booktube is probably the perfect place for someone like me. So I thought I would kick things off with, it's kind of, I guess, like an initiation, and do the Booktube Newbie tag, because it's probably the easiest way I'm going to get past these nerves is by having questions already written out and me just blabbering on. Oh, Christ, let's just get to it. Okay, so question one. Why did you start this channel? Well, I started this channel a bit like I just said, because I have been speaking about books for a while now on the internet. Well, a year. I know that's not very long compared to some people, but for me it's quite long. And, you know, quarantine, obviously, COVID, all that stuff made me get really, really into reading. So, and I just wanted kind of a way to sort of express that and also hold myself accountable for reading and getting the most out of it. So I started this channel in particular as kind of an extension to my Instagram page, which is the same as this, so it's just at Reading.Andrew. I'll put links down below just in case any of you watching this really care to follow me. And yeah, so that's pretty much why I started the channel. I just thought it'd be really fun to create YouTube content as well, because it's something that I've wanted to do for the longest time and just never got around to doing it. So this should be a really, really, hopefully, this should be quite an exciting moment for me, and something that I'm really looking forward to doing. Question number two, what are some of the fun and unique things that you can bring to Booktube? This is a difficult one because this is quite a lot of pressure, and fun and unique things. I think this is like a bit like a job interview where people ask like, what are your greatest strengths and weaknesses? Because like, I could say I'm going to create the best content you've ever seen, or I could say I'm going to create the most different content you've ever seen. I could say, oh well, because I am queer, I have a different perspective on things, which is true to an extent, but there's so many other queer creators on here who are just absolutely killing it, and compared to me are probably leagues beyond where I will ever be in Booktube, Bookstagram, Book Twitter life. So I don't know about the unique part, but the fun part, I think what you could probably expect from me is just good chats about books. I like to think I've got a really good book taste. I mean, there's some books behind me that I've obviously not expertly picked to show off on my Bookstagram at all. What I will bring, hopefully, will just be a sense of enjoyment about reading and a kind of a fun perspective on books, I think is the short answer. I hope. Question three, what are you most excited about this new channel? No, that's not even a question. It says, what are you most excited about for this new channel? Is that even a question? What are you most excited for about this new channel? Okay, I think what I am most excited for about this channel is just first of all, making the actual content. Like I said, have really enjoyed watching Booktube for a while, and seeing other content creators. I'm super inspired, like all of the time, by a lot of Booktube and bookish creators, book content creators. And I feel like that's what I'm really excited for. I've already got ideas for tags, I've already got ideas for videos, and I'm really raring to just do it. So that is the first thing. But then the second thing is also just connecting with like a different audience. So like my Bookstagram, for example, been running that for like a year now, and I've got followers on there and friends on there who I've sort of been chatting to for like about a year. And it's been really, really fun just getting to know new people, because one thing that you don't realize when you move into adult life, because I'm 24, so I've been doing this for a few years now, and it's not that easy to make friends like outside of work. So like you have your school friends, and if you stay in touch with them. So I've got school friends and then I've got work friends, but I was like, again, being a Leo and loving attention, I'm just a very social person, so I just wanted to make friends, and I've tried the film community and that was a bust. I even thought about the gaming community at one point and realised that I can't play games very well, apart from Tomb Raider, and even then it's sketchy at best. So the one place where I really felt like connected to people was the book community. So I'm just excited to do a bit more of that, to be honest. Question 4, why do you love reading? So the obvious answer, and I think everyone else feels this as well, is when you are reading, it's an escape. So, you know, there is the thing of, you know, like whatever book you're reading somebody else's perspective, or you're reading something where you kind of can get lost in a different world, or somebody else's life, if it's say like a biography or something. And that is very true, and it's part of the reason why I do love reading. But for me, the sense of accomplishment I feel from reading is like stupid. So when I feel a book, I feel like I've really accomplished something. Not in the sense of like I'm more accomplished than anyone else who doesn't like reading. Like, I don't know many people aside from the book community in my day-to-day life who absolutely love reading. So I'm not saying it in that kind of like wanky way. It's more in the sense of I feel like I set out to do something and I've accomplished that. And then also, I just love learning. Learning is like my absolute favorite thing in the world. So whether it's like I'm reading a non-fiction book and I'm learning about historical events or people or things like that, where I'm learning about the world around me, or I'm genuinely just learning about some fantasy world that an author's made up and these characters that don't actually exist in real life. I love learning and expanding my view and knowledge of things. So I think, and reading really, really allows me to do that. Question 5, what book or series got you into reading? Like I said earlier, I'm 24, which puts me at a certain age where a certain series was huge. And, you know, there's no denying that, and that played a big part. But I'm not going to talk about that, because this, like I said, is a space where people genuinely can feel safe. So let's put that aside, and I'm going to actually talk about the Goosebumps books, which is not something that I've seen many people talk about. I'm not saying that, oh, I'm the only one that reads them, whatever, like they're massively popular, I know. But what really got me into reading and being excited by books was, like, when I was a kid, I would go to the library with like friends and stuff, and the Goosebumps books were just something we would all pick up. And for some reason, they just kind of stuck with me throughout, where I actually do want to do a reread of them at some point. So I'd say that played a big part in just getting me into reading. So yeah, I'm just going to give a big shout out to the Goosebumps books for that. because I don't know, without them and some other series, I probably would not be as big into reading as I am now. And that was also kind of one of the first signs that I was going to be a little horror junkie as well. Question number 6, what questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? So this is just a question for not even my favourite booktubers, but all booktubers, all book content creators. How do you read so fast? All right. I genuinely, like, a few weeks ago, I was in a bit of a reading slump, and I watched some booktubers, and they're like, oh, here are the books I read, and it's like a pile of books, and I'm like, this month, and they're like, this week. Sorry, there are 6 books in that pile, and you read them this week. I've been reading the same book for the past 10 days, which is fine. I'm a big believer in, like, somebody posted recently, like, whether you read a book a day or a book a year, you're still a reader. Yes, I totally agree with that. But I want to read more all of the time. So it's kind of that thing of, when I see people are reading like 3 books a week, I'm just like, but how? I want to do that, and I just don't have the time. You know, so how do you read so much, first of all? And second of all, how do you film in public? Because that is giving me the worst ick and anxiety, the thought. And I know I don't have to do this, but it's something I want to do. I want to be able to do it. I want to feel like I feel comfortable enough to do it. Does that make sense? So that is my question for booktubers. 1, how do you read so much? Teach me your ways. And 2, how do you film in public? Because that's nervous as hell for me. Question 7, what challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome whilst, Question 7, I've got the questions just down here, by the way. So, question 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? For me, it will 110% be time to sit down and do this, because I work full time, and this is obviously something I want to do on the side. And it's not so much sitting down and filming the content, it will be more editing and getting it out and keeping to, not a schedule or such, because I can post here when I want, but making sure, being consistent with my content creation, because that's something that I struggled with recently with Instagram, was being consistent with my content creation and pushing things out regularly. So that, I think, will be my struggle, my biggest struggle. And then just not reading as much as others on here, but still trying to keep creative with the content that I am creating. Question 8. When did you start reading? So I started reading, well, I guess always. Used to read a lot in school, just like through school. My primary school was very big on making sure we all read loads. So like in school, I would read quite a lot. But I'd never like class myself as like a reader until, well, this past year, I guess. So I've always, like, the way my relationship with reading was always very much like I would get obsessed with a series or a certain book, and I would read it intensely and then not pick up another book for months and months and months at a time. For example, The Hunger Games, I remember when I got kind of obsessed with that when I was like, I think I was about 16, and I'd not read any of the books, and so I wanted to watch Catching Fire. So I was like, I'm just gonna binge this series, and I did. I remember picking up The Hunger Games, like the first one night. Like I was laid in bed, and I was like, I'll read a bit before bed, and I just like got through like I think a third of the book in one sitting. I just couldn't put it down, and I just binged that entire series. So I think that was an example of where if I'd have just carried on with other books, I would probably have been a reader much younger, but then I just didn't. And then the same happened. There was a few sort of books in between, and then the next sort of series I remember binging was The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I think that's how you pronounce her name. Do you know what? No, I'm going to check that before. Magistivater. I think that's it. I'm really sorry if I butchered that. I really, genuinely, from the bottom of my soul, I'm sorry. But yeah, I remember reading that and I enjoyed that at the time. And now looking back, I don't know if I would enjoy it as much. Yeah, so like there's been a few along the ways where I've been like, and then I've always had the intention to get into reading. And I think actually what made me want to start my Instagram account was to make myself a bit more accountable, because for the longest time I've always been like, I'm going to read more this year, I'm going to read more, I want to read more, because I've always wanted to do it. And then I started the Bookstagram account because I was like, right, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna, if I'm posting about books and I'm talking to other people about books, kind of pushes me on to make sure that I do it more regularly, and not in kind of like a pressure way of like, you must read, because if I wanted to stop tomorrow, I would stop. But it just helped me keep on in line with it and keep on track. So I would say how long I've been reading, technically forever, but I'd say I'm a reader from like the past year or so, which means I've missed out on a lot of books as well. So it's been really fun to catch up and read books that people have been raving about for years and years. Question 9, where do you read? I read pretty much anywhere, mostly at home. I've recently got very, very into audiobooks, so that's been a godsend. It was actually audiobooks. So when I mentioned earlier that I was in a slump, it was an audiobook that got me out of the slump, and now I'm just a little bit obsessed with them. Yeah, I will pretty much read anywhere. Read on the bus, on the way to and from work. I will read on the couch downstairs. I'll read in bed. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I will read wherever I get the chance, to be honest. Question 10, what kind of books do you like to read? This is an easy one because I will try and read any genre. I'll give any genre a go, but I obviously do have my favourites. It's not necessarily a genre, but anything queer I will try and read. Being queer / gay, I love reading queer stories, and I think regardless of what sort of genre they fall into, I really enjoy them. So for example, I didn't think I was a romance reader, and I don't hold this view now, so please don't come for me in the comments, but I always looked at romance and I was just kind of like, nah, not for me, move on. But turns out I do like romance books, and I am very much a sucker for a romance story. It's just, it took me reading sort of queer love stories to kind of understand that, and now I'm very much open to the romance genre. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. But yes, anything queer I will always try and most likely love. I love horror. Horror is one of my favourite genres of films and TV shows, things like that, so a horror book is really up my street. Fantasy is something that I really love. Fantasy YA, I mean YA, I just love it so much. Fantasy YA is something that I've always enjoyed, but then more recently I've been trying to get into adult fantasy a bit more, so I will hopefully document that on here. I'm going to try and read a bit more adult fantasy. I've just finished The Dragon Republic, which is the second book in the Poppy War series. I obviously have Burning God here, ready to go. I literally finished The Dragon Republic a day ago, 2 days ago, and I was like, after that, I need just something a bit lighter. So I'm currently reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So I'm going to read that and then jump into The Burning God, because I am obsessed and I love pain, apparently. So yes, there we go. Self-care is making you hurt through books, apparently. Sorry, what? I've forgotten the question. Books I like to read. Yep, sci-fi, really enjoy that. Remember the dystopian hype? I enjoyed that. That was like a little subgenre of the YA life. Yeah, I will read pretty much everything. The one genre that I don't really enjoy is classics. I just find them difficult to read, and that's pretty much it. Who knows? In a week's time, a month's time, a year's time, I might sit here and just be like, I'm dedicating my entire life to reading classic books, and I'm going to start wearing a tunic. And you can't stop me from doing that. So watch this space. The last question. Question 11. What does your book collection look like? Well, my book collection is currently in bits because basically I moved house in December, but I still don't have a bookshelf. The closest thing I've got to a bookshelf is this. And I bought this because I saw loads of people on Bookstagram with one, and I thought, I'm missing out, so I bought this. So currently my book collection, I guess, if we're going off this, is queer, very colourful and queer up here, and there's some more like, and then the rest, I'm not gonna lie, the rest of it is just what other books I just wanted to put on there. I'm hoping to streamline it and sort it all out so it all looks nice and pretty when I get a bookshelf. But I was literally today, this very day, was in IKEA and other places trying to find a bookshelf, and I couldn't find one that I liked. And you know what? I'm not going to settle for just any old bookshelf. I want one that I like. I want one that looks nice. So the quest continues. Who knows? Maybe we'll document my finding of a bookshelf, and maybe you'll all get to see it if anyone even watches this. Okay, that was all 11 questions. I think we are done. I guess one thing that I would like to say, firstly, is if you watch this, thank you so much. It really does just mean the world to me. And I'm really excited to just see how this does and where this goes, and to meet some new people. And yeah, so again, thank you for watching. I really can't wait to do this again, and I'll see you soon. Bye.